It's time to continue. Also, I need to change the title because the grammar is not there. Anyways. What is this incredibly overpowering sweet scent? It smells like flowers. Uncle Bad, is this it? Isn't that Detective Bad and Kay over there? It looks like she managed to escape the bailiff. No, that's not quite it. Ah, too bad. That's so pretty. I think you're still a bit too young to be wearing that. But since you found it, I guess I can let you keep it. Thanks, I'll treasure it always. Those two seem to get along rather well. Oh, there, I've got something else for you. Oh, here. Yay, thank you, Uncle Bad. Just munching away. Earlier I had one of these with Gummy. Gummy? Oh, you mean Gumshoe. Gummy is... He was trying to be nice to me because I was gonna get in trouble. Then he got in trouble because he lied to protect me. Gummy. I know he didn't kill Daddy. Don't cry. Faraday would be sad if he saw you crying. I'm not crying. Kay. Oh, it's the mister from before and the lady too. Don't you think it would be a good idea to go home for the time being? You're not involved in the investigation, so it's for the best if you do. Actually, I'm Uncle Bad's assistant, so I'm related to the investigation. Is that so, Detective Bad? Yeah, I guess. What? You were just scolding us like kids to not mess up the crime scene. And now you let this kid run free? Why? People are free to investigate things outside of the actual crime scene. You also had a few things you wanted to look into. Got a problem with that? One sec. I don't have a problem with that, but I am curious as to what Miss Yu is looking into. Uncle Bad, I'm going to look somewhere else now, okay? Alright, I'm counting on you. Oh, that's right. Hey, mister. Yes, what is it? I know Gummy really isn't the bad guy. I mean it. So please, find the real bad guy, okay? I won't forgive whoever did this. But in the absence of the perfect piece of testimony and evidence, there's no one else who could be the true culprit other than Detective Gumshoe. She wandered off while I was pondering. One of the windows in this lobby is open as well. The air conditioner is working just fine in this room, so why did they open it, I wonder? I can see down into the courtyard from here. What is that mess supposed to be? It's like an optical illusion. I believe it's supposed to be postmodern in design. More like thoughtlessness in design. I can't disagree there. Detective Bad, what exactly was Kay searching for? Nothing that concerns you, boy. Oh? Then I suppose it has something to do with Kay? It does, because she's Faraday's daughter. Anyway, hurry up and get to the point. I don't have time to waste. Sounds like he'd rather be left alone. I have something I'd like to confirm with you once again. I don't have anything to say to you. Be that as it may, we still have questions that we need answers to. Now then, first of all, what is the overpowering smell that is permeating this room? Upon entering this room, I thought I was going to suffocate. It's that ultra-strong perfume Yu wears. She spilled some of it. I was having a bad time of it myself. I didn't think Tyson opened the window, but that smell still's here. Still here. Perfume. So the sweet scent in the air is perfume. Well, it's giving off quite a stench. I bet it's some cheap no-name brand. She said it's a famous brand from overseas. It's a knockoff. Yes, definitely a knockoff. No disrespect, but she forced one of these bottles on me. Here, little girl. You can have it. I was born for a much more expensive and refined perfume. However, seeing as how you just happen to have a spare, I suppose I'll take it. Miles Edgeworth, you will hold on to this bottle without fail. Why can't she ever be honest about what she wants? Misused perfume. Perfume given to Bad by you. Same perfume as the one spilled in lobby number 1. So now we have the perfume Miss Yu wears. Just fantastic. Is that all you wanted to talk about? If so, I'm going back to investigating. Actually, I still have a few other things I wish to inquire about. Tch. So you were in this room the entire recess? Like I said, I made a call to the precinct to give that big luck... Wait. I made a call to the precinct to get that big lug down here. But other than that, I was waiting for the recess to end in here. At least your story is consistent. Earlier you stated that you were in this lobby with Miss Yu. Yeah, I ran into her in the hallway. She said she wanted to talk to me about something, so we came in here. Then... what you're saying is that until Detective Gumshoe arrival, you and Miss Yu were in different locations. Guess I am. Interesting. Speaking of that lawyer, she seems to have a great dislike for you. Oof. Let's see, Miss Yu is the sister of the victim of the KG-8 incident. And as I recall, Detective Bad was the lead detective on the case. I wonder if the reason for her disdain isn't simply because you failed to guard Cece, but because you were the lead detective on the case. You knew? I also know that today's trial involving the Kodapian Embassy staff member is being referred to as the second KG-8 incident. Now then, Detective, I believe it's time you were honest with me and told me the truth behind your relationship with Miss Yu and Mr. Faraday, and the KG-8 incident. No. If you already know that much, I guess it'd be alright to tell you. Now then, I'd like to ask you a few questions about the KG-8 incident. It's not exactly a happy story. Other than the people who are directly involved, you two will be the first to hear what we're about to tell. I knew it was a lollipop. The honest truth behind the KG incident. This guy's a poser. Faraday, you and I. As you already No. We three were involved with the KGA incident. Faraday and I, we were originally on the trail of a smuggling ring. I mean, the smuggling case involving one of the Amano Group secretaries. That trial was just a front. A facade? Yeah, but the case became tainted. All because the witness who was going to testify about the Amano Group's ties to the smuggling ring, CCU, was killed. Then what became of the secretary who was arrested? His name was Colin Deveray. To be honest, the guy didn't know a thing about the smuggling ring. But he confessed to knowing about it anyway. Deveray was probably being intimidated by the big boss man. Just another scapegoat. The boss man of the Amano Group can't seriously mean Ernest Amano. That can't be right. It's probably just Detective Bad's personal hypothesis. Well, we know that to be true. What is he trying to do? Suspecting Mr. Amano of being involved with smuggling. I suppose it would have been quite difficult to secure an acquittal after he confessed. But the man who killed CCU, Manny Cochin, was a completely different person. But since he's already been acquitted once of her murder, Mr. Faraday, how could you have let him go? If I remember correctly, I heard that Mr. Faraday had an important piece of evidence stolen from him. That wasn't Faraday's fault. It was mine. I wasn't vigilant enough. Faraday, Cece. I was supposed to protect them both. Miss Yu did mention that as well. How Detective Bad was supposed to guard her sister. But even now, he was supposed to protect them. I fell into their trap. What kind of trap? The holes in this jacket are a testament to that trap. Oh yeah? You mean you were fired upon? You were shot at that many times in a gunfight? No. Only about half of those are from that case. But the reason I continue to wear this jacket is to remind myself of the lesson I learned from the KG incident. I see. I couldn't protect CCU, and the suspect was found not guilty. We had hit a brick wall, as far as the law was concerned. And that's when she came to the courtroom, the victim's sister. That's when I first met Callisto Yu. About when you first met Miss Yu. It was on the day the verdict of the KG8 incident was handed down, was it not? Yes. Faraday and we apologized to her from the bottom of our hearts. It was all we could do. But just saying you're sorry won't bring my sister back, she said. And then she gave me a hard slap across the face. Well, she certainly had a lot of self-control to stop at just a slap. If it was me, not even 100 lashes would have been punishment enough. I suppose not. You said it herself. That she never wanted to see either of us ever again. But after that, you've seen her many times over, correct? Yeah, Faraday and I, even after the KGA incident had come to a close, we continued to hunt down the smuggling ring and got involved in a variety of cases. But it was no use. We cracked so many different cases. But the result was always the same. We couldn't find the real mastermind behind the ring. Is the ring really that big? It was in the pursuit of the ring. that we met you once again. It was during another trial related to the smuggling ring. Faraday was the prosecutor, and I is the lead detective. Took to the witness stand. She appeared out of the blue as a defense attorney. Her client was related to the smuggling ring, and she was defending them. Yeah. Hugh was pursuing the ring as best as she could as a lawyer. I think she defended Rel this time, for the same reason. Come to think of it, Miss Yu did say something to the same effect. I have my own agenda. I'm still on the hunt for leads regarding the KGA incident, alright? And for that, you have not a single qualm about defending a known killer? Don't put words in my mouth. I said no such thing. The only way I had to get close to Mr. Rel was to be his lawyer. I had no intention of covering for him, ever. So don't you dare suggest I was going to. Doesn't matter what her reason is. Helping a criminal is just despicable. You're so naive, little girl. I could have stolen this lollipop from you. That's how naive you are. How dare you insult the daughter of Von Karma? Just like us. You felt that she had hit the limit of what the law could do. That's all. The law is merely a tool. There's no limit to it, only the skill of the craftsman. You two are still too young, but one day you'll know what I mean. But enough sidetracking. What matters is that we met you again, in pursuit of the smuggling ring. That's all. So what was your relation to Mr. Faraday? You even seem to know Kay fairly well. I met him when he was a rookie prosecutor. Known him ever since. And Kay, I've known her since the day she was born. Faraday and I, we cracked quite a few cases together. But you two seem to have made no progress at all in the Yatagarasu case. Did we touch a nerve? I only have one thing to say to you. No one knows more about the Yatagarasu than me and Faraday. That's why I was called upon to testify in today's trial. To prove that Rel was not the real Yatagarasu. Which I would have done if he hadn't turned around and accused Faraday. After the accusation, I was asked to testify, but this time, to prove or disprove the accusation. But I guess I won't be doing that either. I sense that there's more to that statement than meets the eye. Perhaps a bit more digging into the Yatagarasu is what's necessary. You claim to know much about the Yatagarasu. Would you care to share what you know with me? What you two should be looking for right now is proof of murderous intent towards Faraday and Rel. I see, which is exactly what I'm asking you. Why exactly I'm asking you about the Yatagarasu. What? The KGA incident and this second KGA incident. Both of these cases are tied to the smuggling ring. And in both of these cases, a witness who was testified but the ring was murdered. However, there's one point in which they differ. And that is the presence or absence of the great thief Yatagarasu. Mr. Rel claimed to be the Yatagarasu, however, In the middle of the trial, he suddenly declared Mr. Faraday to be the real Yatagarasu. Then during the recess, they were both killed. Don't you find that to be the least bit odd? Miles Edgeworth, stop beating around the bush and just spit it out already. I believe that there must be some reason that the two men suspected of being the Yatagarasu were both killed at the same time. A reason, huh? And so, in order to catch Mr. Faraday and Mr. Rel's cold-blooded killer, I feel that I need to learn as much as I can about the Yatagarasu. If it will help you solve this case, then I'll tell you. I'll tell you the reason why we never caught the Yatagarasu. What was that sudden outburst for? You almost made me whip you by accident. Ugh. It still accidentally whipped me anyway. There are three main reasons why the Yatagarasu will always be one step ahead. First, the Yatagarasu always knows the exact location of the target object. Second, the Yatagarasu always knows exactly how to disarm the security system. Third, the Yatagarasu doesn't leave a single shred of evidence behind, ever. I see. So those are the Yatagarasu's special traits. Sounds like an incredible, elusive thief. Yatagarasu has never been caught on tape. Never tries to draw anyone's attention. And would never do something as lowbrow as commit murder. That's how I knew that Rel wasn't the real Yatagarasu right away. But you can't use that sort of logic on its own to prove that he wasn't. Listen, little girl. I'm not done talking yet. Grr. What's different about this time was that evidence related to the smuggling ring was sent to the police. And the sender was none other than the one who infiltrated the Kodopian embassy, the Yatagarasu. The Yatagarasu sent the evidence. Until now, the Yatagarasu would always publicize any corrupt dealings through the mass media. But not this time. Hey, Ghostly. I'm doing okay. Just playing the game. How have you been? Anything interesting going on in life? The evidence this time was something only Faraday and I, and a select few others, knew about. In that case, how can you be so sure it's the Yatagarasu who sent it? That's easy. A special card that only the Yatagarasu uses was attached. That's how I can be so sure. Nothing much, I see. Just what sort of card is it? Here, take a look at this article. Whenever the Yatagarasu wants to publicize something, a white card is sent along with the stolen information. When we questioned Rel about what was sent along with the white card, Rel had no idea what it was. So that's how Detective Bad knew that Rel was a phony. Thank you very much. I have a much better understanding of the Yatagarasu now. My day's going good. That's nice. Excuse me, Mr. Edgeworth. Yes? His Honor would like to transfer the evidence from today's trial over to you. So if you could please head over to the courtroom, it'd be much appreciated, sir. Understood. I'll be there shortly. Detective Bad, what does the law mean to you? Is the guy about to die? Finding the answer to the questions is the only reason I'm still alive. I became a prosecutor to find the answer to that question myself. To play a part in ensuring that all criminals everywhere are found guilty. Alright. Oh, it's you, Mr. Edgeworth. It appears that his honor is still a bit dispirited. For the first time today, I experienced what it's like to stand at a witness stand. I now have a greater appreciation for just how hard it is to give your testimony. Well, there's no reason for you to be all depressed about it, Your Honor. As a judge, no one expects you to think about anything other than the verdict. Francisca, there's no need to further depress his honor. But I'm not trying to, Miles. Your Honor. Your Honor, I've come to collect the evidence that was to be transferred to me. Your Honor, the evidence? Your Honor. Oh, you. Yes, can I help you? This guy's out of it. I'd like to collect the evidence now, sir. Your Honor, do you think you can stay focused long enough to at least do your job? Yes, I'm sorry. And I would, except the defense attorney has yet to arrive. She's busy with the investigation, so let's keep this brief, shall we? Very well. In that case, please confirm that all the pieces of evidence are present. Furthermore, the evidence that was used in the murders of Mr. Faraday and Mr. Rell are also included, so please go ahead and use them in your investigation in this case. In their case. Understood, Your Honor. The piece of evidence that were used in the murder of those two. This could be a very good chance for me to find a new lead regarding their case. And maybe even something that will finally lead me to the truth. I placed all the evidence over at the prosecutor's bench for you. I see. Thank you very much. I'll go and confirm that they are all accounted for. Alright. So this is the evidence related to today's Kodapian embassy trial from Mr. Faraday's bag. You mean the evidence bag that was on the table in lobby number 2, right? Yes, finally we can now take a look at the evidence itself, and not just data about them. Let's be sure to thoroughly examine them while we have the time. Agreed. I'm going to take a good look at all the evidence from the embassy murder. And why is that? Because I still don't fully understand what today's trial was about. Gah. Don't put your crop at me just because you don't know something. And don't you try to order me around just because Papa chose you today. I see someone is still sore about not being picked by Mr. Von Karma. It's also real to see the knife up close. So we have the knife, the gun, an envelope. And what's this organizer doing here? Oh, that's right, I completely forgot to tell you. About what, Your Honor? They found Mr. Faraday's personal organizer inside the evidence bag of his. Detective Bad requested it be passed along to you. He said it would help the investigation. Detective Bad said that. What a strange stroke of luck. Well, never look a gift horse in the mouth. I never know what that actually means. You might as well flip through it too. I guess just don't be ungrateful, or... I don't know. I won't rest until I've inspected blah blah blah. I took a quick look through these documents before the trial started. Well, I wasn't even afforded the opportunity to skim it. I suppose I should explain it to you then. Yes, you should. Perfectly in its entirety, if you please. On the night of September 8th, an embassy staff member was killed in front of the embassy. The staff member died of shock due to being shot in the heart. Mac Rell was thought to be was brought in that night as a suspect and thoroughly questioned. Because of the murder weapon was found on him, for which he was arrested on the spot. A simpleton of a man. That's what he was. Perhaps he was, for the weapon wasn't the only incriminating evidence we had. Mr. Rell was caught in the act on film by his security camera. He was an even bigger simpleton than I'd thought. I can't believe he didn't notice the security camera. The Kodapian Embassy's security system is supposedly very well designed. He may have simply not been aware that there was a camera in the area. So have you seen the contents of the video for yourself? Yes, the surveillance video, the security camera took, was played during the trial by Mr. Faraday. You can clearly identify Mr. Rell on it. Even the sound of the gun was crystal clear. So the footage included sound, I don't think I'd ever want to see the moment of someone's death in real life. Me neither. Mr. Faraday is the organizer. It appears he was in the habit of using it. It looks like he wrote his strategy for getting Mr. Rell convicted down in here. I've collected the evidence I need to prove that Rell was the killer. Between the handgun Rell had on him when he was arrested and the surveillance tape, I should be able to prove that he was the one. It appears that Mr. Faraday honestly believed that Mr. Rell was the killer in this case. The sound of his gunshots, the sound of his handgun going off was recorded with superb clarity on the security video. I also have evidence that I can use to prove that Rell is not the real Yatagarasu. It would also appear that he has proof that Rell was not the real Yatagarasu. No matter how he may try to play it, as long as I have the Yatagarasu's key, I can prove he's a phony. If I present it to him in court, it should clear everything up. He apparently also had a very definitive piece of evidence. It's been a long battle. I hope that this will finally bring it to an end. Yes, I believe that Mr. Faraday was well prepared. To discredit any claim Mr. Rell may have made about being the real Yatagarasu. And he had a way to prove that Mr. Rell was the guilty party in the embassy murder. This organizer is a clue straight from Mr. Faraday. I'll have to take my time and give it a thorough read later. Look, there's a picture stuck between the pages here. It appears to be a key. And a rather ornate one at that. Just look at the design of the handle. The craftsmanship is superb. Could this be the Yatagarasu's key? Mr. Faraday mentioned it in his organizer. The Yatagarasu's key. Detective Bad said something earlier. What's different about this time was that evidence related to the smuggling ring was sent to the police. And the sender was none other than the one who infiltrated the Kodapian embassy, the Yatagarasu. The Yatagarasu sent the evidence. Until now, the Yatagarasu would always publicize any corrupt dealings through the mass media. But not this time. The evidence this time was something only Faraday and I, and a select few other people knew. Mr. Faraday must have been trying to keep this secret key safe. As the prosecutor of both Yatagarasu and smuggling ring cases, that's to be expected. It's a knife that was used to kill Mr. Faraday. Who would have thought that such a beautiful... Wait. Okay, never mind. I was gonna say the knife and the key look very similar. Yeah, they kind of do. But anyways, could be used for such a cruel act. And it's never crossed your mind that you use your riding crop for the wrong purpose. That's odd. What is it? Mr. Faraday didn't mention anything about a knife in his organizer. That certainly is odd. The weapon that was used to kill the Kodapian embassy member was the gun. But if that's the case, then where did the knife that was supposed to murder Mr. Faraday come from? That was used to murder him come from? Isn't it obvious? It was brought into the courthouse by Mr. Rell. That's the only logical conclusion, right? No, because it's not that easy to smuggle a weapon like that in here. Every person who enters the courthouse doors is thoroughly checked for contraband. Furthermore, the suspect was handcuffed, making it impossible for him to bring a knife as large as that inside. In that case, how do you suppose this knife ended up inside the courthouse? I had to think carefully here. I don't think it looked like a knife initially. There's nothing related to the knife written anywhere in Mr. Faraday's organizer. However, it is a fact that this is a knife. That this knife came from Mr. Faraday's evidence bag. Conversely, there's one item listed in Mr. Faraday's organizer that no one has claimed to have ever seen before. So in order to solve this mystery, I believe I will need to take another good look at the evidence. Miles Edgeworth, can I take the fact that you have yet to answer me to mean that you don't have an answer for me? Actually, I do know the answer, Franziska. What? And what is it? One of the pieces of evidence we've been holding has been hiding a secret of its own. And it was through this piece of evidence that the knife was brought into the courtroom, the courthouse. A key. This Yatagarasu key, Mr. Faraday mentioned in his organizer. This said the knife was brought into the courthouse. You're not making any sense, Miles Edgeworth. You just need to take a closer look, Franziska, to see what I mean. Don't the color and ornamentation of the key handle kind of remind you of anything? They do remind me of the knife. Very good. Both the Yatagarasu key in this photo and the murderous knife have this unique design on their handles. Furthermore, even though Mr. Faraday mentioned the Yatagarasu's key, the only object we found at the crime scene was the knife. You don't seriously mean to say? It appears that you finally caught up. And yes, I do mean to say that these two pieces are in fact one and the same. But that's impossible. Why? Even if that is what you believe, we should still investigate this possibility. Now then, let us examine this knife in a little more detail. It's a weapon that was used to kill Mr. Faraday. The handle and the blade itself both have beautiful design works into them. Look, there's even a flower shape and design in this golden section here. If it hadn't been used for a tool of murder, I'd want it for myself. She seems to be drawn to the embellishments. Too bad this isn't mine to give. This button? Oh, snap. I can't believe it turned into a key. To think there is such a trick to this thing. So the weapon used to kill Mr. Faraday is actually the key to the Yatagarasu stole. This piece of information is more critical than anything we've learned up until now. It's a key knife. Key blade, if you will. Frankly, I'm shocked. Mr. Faraday only mentioned the key aspect of this piece of evidence in his organizer. It's possible that even he had no idea the key was holding a knife blade inside. But if that's true, that only someone who knew about the key to knife trick could have killed Mr. Faraday. Even among law enforcement, this key was top secret. We're looking for someone who knew even more about the key than even Mr. Faraday. Meaning that the only person it could be is the one who sent the key in the first place. The great thief Yatagarasu. Then maybe Mr. Rel was really was the Yatagarasu. And he was the one who killed Mr. Faraday. Isn't that one possible scenario? No, not really. Especially since Mr. Faraday was absolutely convinced that Mr. Rel was not the Yatagarasu. Besides, as Detective Bad said earlier, but when we questioned Rel about what was sent along with the white card, Rel had no idea what it was. I see. Alright then. I guess the person who knows the trick behind this key is someone else, and that person is a real Yatagarasu. It seems that this key is truly the key to solving this case. Knife. Weapon used to kill Faraday. Has secret ability to change into key the Yatagarasu sent. Neat. This gun. It was originally used to kill the Kodapian embassy member. When the crime was reported, one sec. The responding police found Mr. Rel still holding it, which led to his immediate arrest. And then this gun took the original shooter's life. How ironic. Indeed. There doesn't seem to be anything else we can learn from this piece of evidence. That's odd. Or a short one piece of evidence. And the piece that's missing is the surveillance video that was played in court. A surveillance video? How could a piece of evidence just disappear? Where did it go? The video showing the moment in which Mr. Rel committed the murder. Where could it have gone indeed? Are you done with your inspection of the evidence? Yes, I'm finished. However, Your Honor, I'm missing a single piece of prosecutorial evidence. Your Honor, were you derelict in your duties? What? No, I dare not neglect my duties. What do you take me for? No, Your Honor, the most important piece of evidence in today's trial, the surveillance video, is not among the evidence you laid out for me. But I brought Mr. Faraday's whole bag with me from the crime scene. Maybe the tape is still somewhere at the crime scene? There's something wrong here. Something about this missing piece of evidence. It would appear that for me to find the answers I seek, I'll have to pay another visit to the scene of the crime. Defendant lobby number 2. I feel that window is definitely something. Oh, this guy? Lang? That's Detective Bad. And who was he with? I've never seen the officer before. So, did you find it? No, not yet. And I've looked everywhere. I see. Well then, please continue with the search. Understood. I'll continue the search. Heh. So you're the ones running the show. Prosecutors like you shouldn't even be allowed to at crime scenes. How dare you? Just who do you think you are? What was that all about? And who was that man just now? Whoever he was, I've never seen a more impudent officer in my life. Does he even know that we're standing right here behind him? I know you're standing right behind me. What do you want, kids? Looks like you were paying attention after all. He has a mirror. Of course you would see behind him. Of course I was. I have eyes in the back of my head. Ah, so that mirror isn't for vanity's sake. It's for him to keep an eye out on who or what is behind him at all times. Interesting, if that's actually the purpose. So tell me, Detective Bad, who was that rude man just now? The guy came here from the Republic of Zangfa to study. He's Agent Lang. That jerk. He's trying everything he can to revive the lost honor of his family. He's traveling the world, studying different philosophies of detainment from scratch. By visiting various police departments around the world, he has a lot of dedication. He's still just a rookie cop, but I sense a strong grudge of some sort from him. The guy's more useful than Gumshoe, even if he is rude. Well, he sure has a lot of guts to come to this country and give prosecutors a hard time. I agree. However, I can think of a young lady that statement also applies to. Anyway, what was that agent looking for, Detective Bad? Earlier, the little girl was poking around in lobby number 1 as well. Like I said before, it's got nothing to do with the two of you. I highly doubt that it has nothing to do with me. Fine, if this is the game I must play, then I'll take this opportunity to draw out what he's been hiding and what happened in this room straight from him. The curtains are shut tight. The color of those curtains is rather gloomy. For a place where people's lives are in the balance. I could choose to hang something a little more cheery, you know? I know, however, I think the designer had more things to think about than the lobbies. Look, well, as a Von Karma, I would afford any location related to the law extra... I would afford any location related to the law extra attention to detail. A bit obsessive, aren't we? Earlier you were in lobby number 1, and now you're here in lobby number 2. You're quite a busy man, Detective Bad. Multiple returns to a crime scene brings about success. That's what we detectives say. I see. In that case, you wouldn't mind if I asked you what happened again, correct? I don't have anything left to say to you, boy. Boy? You'll see. I will draw my answer from you, one way or another. Would it kill you to give us a tiny bit of... would it kill you to help us even a tiny bit in our investigation? I gave Faraday's notebook to the judge earlier. That's help enough, don't you think? Please. We're asking you for a bit more of your cooperation. Don't push me, kid. I'd like to ask once more about what happened around here at the time of the crime. I refuse to answer. Any more investigating you do would be a waste of time. Besides, how am I supposed to answer questions about things I don't know about? Things you don't know about? But aren't you supposed to know everything? He should. Wait, is it possible? Maybe he doesn't know about the trick behind the piece of evidence? Just try showing it to him. It may prove to be the key to getting some answers from Detective Bad. So, show the knife. Detective Bad, did you know of the existence of the item in this photograph? I guess either would have worked. Of course I did. It's my job to know everything related to the Yatagrasu case. In that case, let me ask you something. Did you know that the knife that killed Mr. Faraday and the Yatagrasu's key are one and the same? What? It's impossible. Looks like you didn't know after all. This piece of evidence, which we call the Yatagrasu's key, is actually a well-camouflaged knife. Mr. Faraday was planning to use this Yatagrasu's key to prove that Mr. Rail was not the real Yatagrasu. Isn't that correct? I guess so. However, Mr. Faraday had no idea that it was, in fact, a knife. Yes, I have to admit, neither of us knew that fact. And if neither of us knew, then no one in law enforcement knew either. How did we miss something as big as this? I noticed that since a little while ago, you appear to be searching for something. I presume that this key is what you were searching for. Yeah, that's right. And why were you searching for it? Because I promised Faraday. I promised that I'd protect that key with my life. But after he was killed, the key disappeared from Faraday's evidence bag. Who would have thought that the key is what took Faraday's life? Detective Bad. So that we may find the truth, please testify for me once more. Alright? But it doesn't matter how many times I tell you about what happened. Nothing will change. Detective Bad, I ask that you please testify once more about what happened in lobby number 2 and what you experienced in lobby number 1. My answer is still the same. And this is the last time I'm going to do this. That's fine, because I only need this one last time to clear everything up and find the truth behind this case. Here we go. Detective Bad's movements. I was in lobby number 1, talking with you. We were talking about some trivial things. I heard the gunshot right before the trial was about to reconvene. When we heard it, you and I immediately dashed out into the hallway together. I saw Gumshoe goofing off there, and then we all ran into the lobby number 2. Sounds like the exact same story you told us before. Indeed. However, I feel that we have yet to draw out all the information we can. I'll make you eat that lollipop.
Hold it.
Why did Miss Yu choose lobby number 1? Answer me. Who knows? She just said it has something to do... She had something she wanted to talk to me about. And and we walked into lobby 1 together, that's all. So his answer remains the same as before, I see. We were talking about some trivial things. I was hoping you could expand on what exactly you were discussing with Michiyo. Trivial stuff. It was nothing important. That's for me to decide. Alright, I suppose that's for him to decide. Moving on then. I heard the gunshot right before the trial was about to reconvene. Until you heard the gunshot, did you notice anything else that was out of the ordinary? I didn't hear any other strange sounds until that gunshot. If the gunshot Detective Bad heard was really the one for the murderer, that would give that other piece of evidence an entirely different meaning. I ask you please amend your testimony with the statement just now. Sure. I didn't hear any other strange sounds until that gunshot. He should have heard the balloon popping. Detective Bad, you honestly don't remember hearing anything else? Yeah. Is it possible you were involved in your conversation that you missed something? I've been a detective for a long time, and even if I were involved in something, I've got quite the habit of keeping tabs on everything that goes on around me. If there had been some other strange sound, you can be sure I would have heard it. I suppose with this detective, that's possibly very likely. So the gunshot. You fool. Detective Bad, does this balloon fragment remind you of anything? It's the same color as the one Kay was holding. Oh? So you knew about the girl's balloon? Yeah. I was sitting with her up in the gallery during the recess, just before we split up. I filled that balloon up for her. Well, as you may have already surmised, this piece did indeed come from Kay's balloon. So, what about the balloon? I wonder if you might remember hearing this balloon pop at some point. What are you getting at? This fragment was found in the hallway, right in front of lobby number 2. Furthermore, it was the sound of that balloon popping that the judge mistook as a gunshot. Oh? So the sound that the judge heard was not actually a gunshot, huh? On top of that, His Honor said he had heard the balloon pop about 20 minutes before the trial was to reconvene. Yes, which means that His Honor heard the balloon pop in the hallway when you were in lobby number 1, Detective Bad. And if you were in lobby number 1 at that time, you were close enough that you should have heard the balloon popping as well. So? What? Don't give me a so. You just proved that there's a flaw in your testimony. The crackling of the truth is louder than the sound of your sweet naivete cracking. And since you kids don't seem to know, let me fill you in on something. Did you ever stop to think why the doors and walls of this place seem so rugged? That's because they were designed to keep secrets from being leaked. What is that supposed to mean? The doors and walls are super thick. The window panes are double layered. To top it all off, even the curtains are made of special sound-absorbent material. Then you mean it. Since I was shut up inside lobby number 1, there was no way I could have heard that sound. No. Yeah. I knew that's what he was going to say. That means the scruff-faced testimony is completely useless. If the rooms are soundproof, then of course you wouldn't hear any sound of a struggle. sign of a struggle. That's also why it's only natural that I didn't hear the balloon popping. Now do you get it, kids? Miles, I thought we were supposed to be the ones finding flaws in his logic. Not the other way around. The other way around. It's not possible to hear the sound of a balloon popping if one were in lobby number 1. However, if we examine the situation in reverse, a person standing in the hallway should not have been able to hear the real gunshot either. And yet Detective Gumshoe claims to have heard it while he was standing in the hallway. Detective Bad, if that is the case, how exactly did you hear the gunshot? What do you mean, how? I just did. It would appear that you have yet to realize the contradiction in your own words. Oh, how so? If the rooms are as soundproof as you say they are, then how did the sound of gunshot enter your ears? I see what you mean. I guess I'm more out of it from Faraday's murder than I had thought. Which means what exactly, Miles? In the end, what does it all boil down to? It boils down to this. There must be a reason as to how Detective Bad and Gumshoe heard a gunshot they theoretically couldn't have. It looks like we need to examine the state of the crime scene again, huh? The scene of the crime? Wait, can it be? It's that ultra strong perfume he wears. She spilled some of it. Wah! And way too noisy. Very noisy television and spilled perfume. The surveillance video. How can a piece of evidence just disappear? Where'd it go? Man, it's time. Noah can climb through these barred windows. The scent of flowers in the air, dissipating the smell. A window in lobby number 1 was opened to allow the perfume Monsieur spill to dissipate. The window is open. It's simply not possible for the killer to have escaped through barred windows. And yet the fragrance of perfume managed to escape from defendant number 1. Defendant lobby number 1. Of course, incorporeal things can move freely through these open barred windows. Open windows. The criminal couldn't have made it through, but what about incorporeal things? Looks like it was set to an incredibly high volume. Where did the surveillance tape for Faraday's bag disappear from? Disappear off to? Sound can also travel through, as well as smell. Now then, what else besides a sound can go both in and out of an open, barred window? The answer is sound. So no matter how careful the killer was, if the windows were open, the jig would be up. And since the windows in both defendant lobby number 1 and the hallway were open, that explains how the sound of the gunshot could be heard in both locations. Windows were open, so the gunshot could be heard. Where did it originate from? The sound of the gunshot was played on the TV. So there was no gunshot. No real gunshot being executed at that moment in time. That shows the moment in which Mr. Rell killed the embassy staff member. The sound of the gunshot left quite an impression on me when it was played during the trial. Max volume on the TV. The video should have been returned to Mr. Faraday's evidence bag for the recess and brought back here. If it disappeared after that time, then it's possible the tape is still here in this room. Eureka! The evidence that the missing evidence created for me is a gunshot sound that no one should have been able to hear in the first place. Miles, what have you been thinking about? Stop wasting time thinking, and let's start looking again. It's not a waste of time to think, for I figured out where we should look. And where would that be? I believe we should examine the TV. The TV? Well, you kids have fun. Go ahead and examine whatever you like. It's a video player, and there seems to be a videotape inside. Looks like it. The tape must have stopped on its own when I reached the end. This tape. Could it not be the missing surveillance tape? I suppose, but Detective Bad, would it be alright with you if I verify the contents of this video? Sure. Knock yourself out. Alright then, let's rewind this and see what we have. If I remember correctly, the footage of Rell killing the embassy's staff member should be about 30 minute mark from the start of the tape. Understood. This should be about right. No, let's see. This is the footage of Mr. Rell shooting the embassy staff member. I knew it. The missing piece of evidence, the surveillance video, was here all along. Video of the... Okay, yeah. This sound. What is the meaning of this? It appears Detective Bad has figured out the true source of the gunshot he heard. With this, I think we can figure out the trick behind this double murder. Do you mean that you've figured it all out then? Yes. All I have to do now is to show what the gunshot Detective Bad and Gumshoe heard was, and through where they heard it from. Fine, in that case, show me what you've deduced. Now, show what the gunshot Detective Bad and Gumshoe heard was, and through where they heard it from. Well... It's not just bad luck, the detective has the worst timing in the world, too. Someone purposely left the video in play. The question is why? Earlier when Detective Gumshoe touched this, it made a most terrible racket. When Scruffy turned the television on, right? Actually, come to think of it, I don't think Detective Gumshoe actually touched the television at all. Furthermore, it seems more like a video feed suddenly stopped. At least, it did for me. I wonder why that is. Just as with the spilled perfume in lobby number 1, if the windows were open, that piece of evidence sound would also dissipate out. Now to show what the gunshot Detective Bad and Gumshoe heard was, and through where they heard it from. I guess we print it here. What? I need to calm down and think this through. To show what the gunshot Detective Bad and Gumshoe heard was, and through where they heard it from. I thought we already figured that out. Okay, sure, why not? The door and windows to the crime scene, namely this room that we're in, were closed. The killer could have used the gun and no one would have been the wiser. That's true. This courthouse does seem to be well designed for such a thing, as it were. However, what happened in reality was, Detective Gumshoe, Detective Bad, and Miss Yu, all three of them heard the gunshot, while the windows in lobby number 1, number 2, and the hallway were open. So naturally, the people in those locations could hear it. But then, why would the criminal open the window in the first place? To allow the gunshot to be heard, I suppose. Correct. It's the only logical conclusion we can draw from this. But why was that necessary in the first place? I want a real answer, Miles. I demand satisfaction. Very well, I believe that the killer wanted to manipulate our perception of a certain fact. What was it that the killer wanted to manipulate our perception of? When the crime took place. The killer wanted to fabricate the time of death to their precise wishes. And they used the gunshot in the surveillance video to do so. So that's why the tape was still running. You mean the gunshot I heard was from this video? Yes, which means the murderers really occurred at an earlier time than we thought. It must have been during the recess, but before Detective Gumshoe was on duty. Someone who has no alibi for that time period. Miss you? And planned this crime out in advance. That person's a real killer. Heal me up. Mr. Edgeworth. Yes, what is it? Miss Yu is asking for you. She's in the courtroom. She says that she's identified the murderer, but that she wants to clarify something. Looks like Miss Yu is still investigating something. Understood. Please tell her that I'll be right over. I'll come along. I want to hear what she has to say. It would appear that the time has come to uncover the truth. The only explanation right now is that she purposely spilled her perfume to open up the windows, to give reason to do that, which led to the video playing. Anyways, it's the former. Okay, this isn't the last part then. Maybe it's Manny who did it. Manny or you are top suspects right now. Okay, what are you doing here? Oh, hello, mister. I'm still investigating. But the object you're looking for is already... Hold it. Okay. Don't mind him. Please continue with your investigation. Okay, you got it. Detective Bad, haven't we already found what you were looking for? If it means I can keep her in the dark just a little longer. A little task will do. Oh, you're more sympathetic than I thought. I'm waiting for you, I've been waiting for you, Edgeworth. I've also been waiting for the moment in which we can finally lay this case to rest. Moment in which we can finally lay this case to rest. Wasn't that when we placed Detective Gumshoe under arrest? I think we've more than solved this case already, don't you? We'll see. It all depends on whether or not your logic holds. Oh, I see. We even have a viewer in the gallery. And why, even Mr. Bad is here. A viewer in the gallery? I'm hardly just a bystander. I have a duty to see this case through to the end. No matter how it turns out. Oh, is that right? Anyway, I thought you might like to hear that I've slaved away to find out. I've taken statements on every single person's movements during the time when our suspect was in the hallway. I also confirmed that there's no possible route to escape from lobby number 2. Therefore, the killer must, without a doubt, be Detective Gumshoe. And that's all you have? Yes, that's all there is to my conclusion. And this case. Sorry, but I beg to differ. In a trial, there's always time for rebuttal. And we are standing in a court of law. It'll be more than appropriate to follow the rules of court in this case, don't you think? How absurdly like a rookie to think such a thing. But alright, I'll play along and give you a proper testimony. If my logic is correct, then we've already won. All I have to do now is prove by showing who the real killer is. Let's go, lady. Everyone sans suspect has an alibi for when the gun went off. Furthermore, the areas around the crime scene have all been thoroughly investigated, right? I also confirmed that there is no possible escape route from lobby number 2. Which leaves us with one unshakable conclusion. That Detective Gumshoe is the killer. Now that you have your testimony, I expect a good rebuttal, Edgeworth. But of course. There's no need to confront her logic head-on right now. I should instead focus on drawing out any trump card she has up her sleeve. So press her.
Hold it.
The suspect, when I thought Detective Gumshoe's alibi has already been proven. Are you joking, Edgeworth? I assure you, this is no joke. Look, I know you heard the judge earlier. The detective was in the hallway with Mr. Faraday's daughter, eating a Swiss roll. Yes, that was correct. But see, that was 20 minutes before the real gunshot went off, right? And the problem is, there's no one else who could corroborate what he did since the snacking. I see she's done her research well. Which means that I should focus on drawing out whatever trump card she's withholding. Furthermore, the area around the crime scene has been thoroughly investigated, right?
Hold it.
Whether they have been thoroughly investigated or not is for me to decide. The scrunched eyebrows and lines in your forehead are back. Anyway, even if you believe it hasn't been exhaustive, the crime scene, lobby number 2, has no way other than the hallway Detective Gumshoe was standing in. No way out. And because he claimed to be there, that makes him the only possible suspect. But isn't it also possible that someone escaped through a window and into the garden? That's the first place everyone looked, silly. The police aren't a bunch of lazy bums. They looked in every possibility, you know? Isn't that right, Mr. Bat? Mr. Bat? Yeah. Let me drink some water. Okay. Yeah. There was no scratch of evidence to suggest someone used one of the windows. There also weren't any footprints or anything in the courtyard guarded. I suppose they really did check everything that could be relevant to the case. Are you absolutely positive that there are no possible routes of escape? Of course I'm sure. And why are you so certain? This is a courthouse, the place where criminals are brought to be judged. If there was no escape route, I'm sure every criminal would be using it to escape. It's just common sense. Miles Edgeworth, I suggest you use a bit more of it in the future. Which leaves us with one unshakable conclusion, that Detective Gumshoe is the killer.
Hold it.
You may think it's unshakable, but to me, there are still too many unanswered questions. For example, who was it that placed the gun in Mr. Faraday's hand? But you're the only one still wondering that. Detective Gumshoe probably had no idea which hand Mr. Faraday used to write with. Even if you know someone, it doesn't mean... even if you know someone, it doesn't mean you know which hand they write with, right? I mean, I certainly don't care about that sort of thing. That's incriminating. That's certainly incriminating. It's not about... I'm not about to let her get a rise out of me with such a flippant statement. I suppose we really reached the end of it. I already have my trump card ready. All that remains is to play it. Before I do, I think I should inquire into a little something about her argument. You said earlier you confirmed the alibis of every person other than the suspect. However, I don't recall either Francisca or myself speaking with you about the subject. Ah, but there are witnesses. For you, there's your mentor who gave you an alibi. I see. As for the little Missy, she came to the courthouse during the recess and was stopped by a security guard at the door of the hallway. She gave him quite a whipping for that, or so I heard. I'm the daughter of Manfred von Karma, and I will not be forcefully stopped by a guard, or a bailiff, or anyone else. Wait, so basically the only reason Francisca bothered to show up today was because she found that I was the replacement prosecutor? By the way, Miss Yu, what about everyone's alibi before Detective Gumshoes were sent to... before he was assigned to guard duty? What about them? Have you looked into what people were doing during the span of that time? What kind of idiot do you take me for? It doesn't matter when the killer went into lobby number 2. From the time we heard the gunshot, to the time Mr. Bad and I arrived on the scene as we dashed from lobby number 1, the only person who could have committed the crime was Detective Gumshoe. Yes, let's talk about when you and Detective Bad heard that gunshot, shall we? I suppose that if we go by your logic, that Detective Gumshoe is the only one. However, what if the crime had occurred at an entirely different time than when that gunshot you heard went off? What then? That gunshot was a trap meant to manipulate... Sadly, your explanation is very lacking, Edgeworth. The gunshot we heard in lobby number 1, care to explain how that could have been fabricated? Yes.
Take that!
That tape. Now she's doing her eyes? She's doing a lot of makeup right now. Yeah, it's exactly what you think it is. This surveillance tape on Mr. Rell, the prosecution presented in today's trial. This was found loaded in the video player in lobby number 2. That was connected to the large TV that had its volume turned all the way up. You can't honestly mean that the sound we heard was the gunshot in the video. Ah, but I do. Which leads me to my next point. The murders occurred earlier than when anyone heard the gunshot. That's the only thing I can think of, too. After committing double homicide, the killer took the surveillance video out from Mr. Faraday's evidence bag, turned the television's volume all the way up, and left the video to play. If played from the beginning, it would take 30 minutes for the gunshot sound to come on. And since we now know that this method of time manipulation is possible, it opens up the possibility that the killer is someone other than Detective Gumshoe. Sounds from the television don't amount to much here, but of course, Mr. Prosecutor Edgeworth and little Miss Von Karma already knew that much from the very beginning, right? Of course we knew. Didn't we, Miles? Yes, of course. We know about the soundproof quality of the courthouse's rooms. Of course, I'm not about to admit we had no idea until only a little while ago. That's right. And if the rooms are soundproof, then we should not have been able to hear it. And yet we heard the gunshot clear as day. And that's it. End of story. What's your point? But it's not. How should I explain why she was able to hear the gunshot from a soundproof room? The window is open. There's actually one common point between lobby number 1 and lobby number 2. And it is that despite the fact that both rooms have air conditioners installed, a window was open in each. Now we know that the window in lobby number 2 was opened by the killer. However, a window in lobby number 1 was also opened. Ahaha. It's probably just coincidence that they were both open at that time. It was no mere coincidence, I assure you. That was the window open in lobby number... Why was the window open in lobby number 1? The answer is that a certain person did something to cause the window to be opened. And the person who triggered that action, that person is the real guilty party. The real killer in this double murder is... you.
Take that.
Miss Callisto Yu. I hereby formally indict you of the murder of Mr. Faraday and Mr. Rill. What? You indict me? Okay. Well, here comes the crazy. Are you serious, Miles? Why do you think she's the killer? I don't understand her motive just yet. But of course I'm serious. Because she's the only one who could have done it. Well, Miss Yu, do you still feel like laughing now? Ha ha ha! Ha ha ha! Of course I do, Edgeworth. My argument must not be tight enough yet. Although I never thought things would spiral into this. But I'll have you know I'm enjoying this dance quite a bit. I guess this means it's time for my own rebuttal now, right? Okay. You argue that the window was open, however, do you have proof that it was I who did it? Yes. Furthermore, do you have proof that the tape was used in committing the crime? Yes. Frankly, I'm shocked at you for going around accusing people of murder like this. You did that to Gumshoe. Especially with logic as full of holes as yours. This is where it really starts. I mustn't let my guard down for even a second, or the truth will blow away. Now is the time to put the patented Von Karma perfect proof to the test. Alright.
Hold it.
Evidence? All I need to do is have some prints analyzed and we'd know straight away. Be my guest. It sounds as though she has the room to maneuver, which means even if we were able to lift prints, they'd only show that there was someone else, but why that someone else was forced to open the window? That's simple logic. Why don't I try presenting that piece of evidence? I have nothing else to lose. I have nothing to lose. What's wrong? The scrunched eyebrows, lines on your face. They're all back. More importantly, are you going to be okay not running a fingerprint analysis? Yes, I'll be fine. Oh, well in that case, I'll just continue with my testimony, alright? I'm sure you've seen this before, haven't you, Miss Yu? Haha, Edgeworth. I never knew you were into wearing that kind of perfume. Not exactly what I'd recommend for boys, you know? What? This isn't mine. That's right, it's mine. And I received it from Detective Bad, you see. Miss Yu, you can pretend all you like. But we know at least this much for sure. That you're the one who gave this bottle of perfume to Detective Bad. And that you're super easy to rile up. So what about the perfume? While you were in lobby number 1, you made a big show of spilling some of this perfume. That's according to Detective Bad. Oh, I know. You also knew that if you spilled it, he would naturally move to open a window. Come now, I've already told you that all is a big coincidence. After we'd noticed the window in lobby number 1, it just left it open, you know? So maybe it was just dumb luck that we heard the gunshot through the window. One sec. YouTube is acting up. As it tends to do. The timing of when you were going to spill the perfume is something you could control. And the most important fact about this case is when people were made to hear the shot. Furthermore, it would have been pointless if you didn't have an alibi for yourself at the time. You mean, Miss Yu, you were the one who called Detective Bad into lobby number 1, when you saw him bring Detective Gumshoe into the hallway. Is that correct? All of today's premeditated events could only have been thought up by you, Miss Yu. Grr. Yeah, I get mad. Ha! Ha ha ha. You accuse me of murder on the fact that I spilled a little perfume? Well, allow me to say this much. I couldn't have killed Mr. Faraday. Would you care to testify as to why? Ha ha ha. Look, I've had a lot of fun today, really. But I grow wary of this game of cat and mouse. Let's make this the last testimony and wrap up this absurd case once and for all. Why it couldn't be me. Accusing someone of murder over spilling a bottle of perfume is a bit over the top. I suppose forgery of evidence is to be expected as a disciple of Von Karma. In any case, simply could not have been me who killed Mr. Faraday. After all, I don't even know where the knife that was used to kill him came from. Miles, her testimony is flawless. Yes. But no matter what sort of trick she may try to pull, she won't escape. So I guess we just get her on the knife part. If I'm lacking in information, I'll just draw it out of her.
Hold it.
I think I already explained the significance of that earlier. You only confirmed that I did spill some perfume, and that's all. That you would accuse me of murder based on a simple spill. Don't you dare complain when I sue you for defamation of character. Do as you please, but as for me, I believe. You believe? I believe that you are the true culprit in this case. My, you're enthusiastic. Of course, I should have guessed. But I suppose forgery of evidence is to be expected of a disciple of Von Karma.
Hold it.
I formally request that you desist in your attack against my mentor. Yes, or else we'll sue you for defamation. All I'm doing is tell the truth, though maybe more like spreading gossip. Although your adamant denials are, shall we say, just adding fuel to the fire? How dare you say such a thing? Calm down, little girl. Don't let her get to you. Why'd you have to ruin my fun? Well, shall I continue? In any case, it simply could not have been me who killed Mr. Faraday.
Hold it!
And why exactly could you not have killed him? I'm just about to testify to that. You're just an impatient man. I'm not really into that, you know, Edgeworth. Your preferences have no bearing on what is at hand. Feeling a little uncomfortable, are we?
Objection!
Miss you. You'll desist in this tomfoolery and return to your testimony. And Miles, if you're going to lose your cool, then I won't show you any mercy. Sorry. Miss you, please continue with your testimony. Sure. As I was saying, I couldn't have killed Mr. Faraday. After all, I don't even know where the knife that was used to kill him came from.
Hold it!
At this rate, she will inevitably escape. If she really was the one who killed Mr. Faraday, then she must have known about the existence of the knife. I'm sorry, Miss Yu, maybe you weren't aware. However, the knife that was used to kill Mr. Faraday was taken from his evidence bag. Miles, what do you think you're doing? I'm drawing the truth out of her. That's what I'm doing. Huh? But I don't recall a knife being present at the trial earlier today. Well, I suppose that's because the evidence was something Mr. Faraday had yet to use. So that's what you're trying to do. Look, why don't you cut it out with the lies? I've already figured you out. There is no knife inside Mr. Faraday's evidence bag. The only evidence he had yet to present was the key the Yatagrasu had sent. And unless a key can magically turn into a knife, you really don't have a leg to stand on. Oh, magic? Magic, you say? Did you really think you could trap me? Come now, be honest. Heh, I never intended to do such a thing. It was all a misunderstanding on my part. In any case, I wonder if you might append what you said to your statement, or to your testimony. Sure, why not? I'll even say it as many times as you'd like. There was a key in his evidence bag, but you can't kill anyone with a simple key. I think we present either one, right?
Objection!
Miss you. I wonder if you might take a look at this photo for me. This is a picture of the key that Yatagrasu sent to the police. However, while it may look like a key at first glance, it in fact has a secret ability to transform into a knife. Which means that this was inside Mr. Faraday's bag. Was both the Yatagrasu key and the murderous knife. You knew that the key was inside Mr. Faraday's bag, did you not? Yes. Well, with the Yatagrasu key alone, it's more than possible to kill Mr. Faraday. Kuh. Do you understand now? Just knowing of the existence of... Are you done? I still haven't had a good look at it. Showing it to me from that far away. You could be lying for all I know. You would even now still feign ignorance? I'm not feigning anything. We can't have you accusing me of a crime with false evidence, now can we? I mean, Mr. Von Karma. I've heard some very interesting rumors about him. Are you mocking my papa? Don't you dare sully the good name of my mentor. I mean... Now take a good look. This piece of evidence is more than real. Wow, who knew this? Who knew there was such a trick to this thing? Are you satisfied now? But of course, you knew that from the very beginning, didn't you? You knew that the knife and the key are one and the same. Otherwise, someone like you, who isn't a member of law enforcement, and who would never have been privy to this trick, would have never known about this to begin with. Furthermore, there's something that the Yatagrasu sent to the police. How did you have knowledge as to what it was? Actually, I heard it from Mr. Faraday. Just before he dragged Mr. Rell off, he told me. Oh, that's right, I almost forgot. He also told me about the key turning into a knife at that time. Why would he do that? But he didn't tell me about how the key actually transforms. What you were saying is simply not possible. Oh, and why not? Because Mr. Faraday himself didn't know about the hidden knife within the key. And within these pages, he mentions nothing about the knife.
Objection.
I'm not sure he would have written everything in his organizer, you know. Wouldn't something of this importance be better left to oral communication? Unfortunately, that's also impossible. Because Detective Bad didn't know about the knife aspect either. Chih. What would have been highly classified information, even within the police force, is something that even the lead detective of the case didn't know. Why would Mr. Faraday have felt the need to share such information with the opposition? Yeah, I guess he wouldn't have much of reason to. Looks like I gave a pretty lame excuse, huh? How can you laugh at a time like this? You probably just realized the flaw in our logic is actually in a panic over it. But that's not something we need to concern ourselves with. I suppose you're right. Miss you. I'd like to state that I also know how you know the real nature of the knife. Do you now? Well, why don't you put your money where your mouth is and show me? Oh, I will, and I'll wipe that smile off your face by the time we're through. This is it, the moment of truth. The secret behind the Yatagarasu key. Only one person would have knowledge of it from the get-go. Who would know from the start that the Yatagarasu key could change into a knife? Okay.
Take that.
That'll be this person. Thanks for the best laugh I've had all day. Why wouldn't she know? I guess we actually mean the Yatagarasu himself.
Take that.
There's only one person who would have known about the dual nature of the key. Aha! And that is the person who sent the Yatagarasu key to the police. That's to say, the Yatagarasu herself? Are you saying that this lawyer is the great thief, Yatagarasu? Miss you. You used Mr. Rell to lure Mr. Faraday into a trap, didn't you? Mr. Faraday into a trap, didn't you? You who profess to bear the grudge against criminals, why? Why do something like this? Hee 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 hee. Ah ha 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 ha. Ah ha ha hoo hee hoo hee hoo ha 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 hoo ha 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 ha. She's losing it right now. Who would have thought that you, a stupid rookie prosecutor, would see through me? You're sending the biggest chill down my spine right now, Edgeworth. This feeling of thrill. It's even greater than when I sneak into someplace. What? You! You! You killed Faraday? Why? Answer me, Callisto Yu. Callisto Yu, huh? That's not my real name. Oh, snap. Because my real identity is, yes, the great thief Yatagrasu. Let me tell you something, Edgeworth. Mr. Faraday was one difficult man to deal with. For you see, he had discovered my true identity, which is why I had to erase him from the world of law. I had made Rel an offer, an acquittal for a little favor in return. All I had to do was accuse Mr. Faraday of being the Yatagrasu in court. Once we entered the recess, Rel was dragged off by Mr. Faraday, which threw my plan into a complete mess. I chased after them and eavesdropped on them through a crack in the door. That Rel caved to only two things, money and authority, just as all thugs do. I feared my plan was going to be ruined if Mr. Faraday held on to Rel any longer. Plus, if I'd let them continue on the way they were, I would have been found out. That's why I had no choice. I killed them both. Did you say that you despise criminals? But do I really? You. Have you forgotten about the KG incident, too? Maybe. What sort of woman would... So then, was it your plan to kill Mr. Faraday with the very evidence that you sent? Haha. Well, I had a very good idea of what Mr. Faraday was going to do. I anticipated that Mr. Faraday was going to prove that Rel wasn't the Yatagrasu. By using this Yatagrasu key as evidence, and that he would bring it with him. Which is why I thought to use the knife portion. With a weapon as well disguised as this, no one would be the wiser. But who in the right mind would think something like this could be a weapon? I casually entered lobby number 2 on the pretext that I had to talk with Mr. Faraday. In order to get in with him, I pretended to be worried about something. Then he let me hold the Yatagrasu key, just like that. He never noticed that I had changed the key into the knife inside the plastic bag. And that he didn't have a chance to take note of the knife that took his life. How could you kill him? I knew him for a long time, you know. At the very least, I thought to give him a quick and painless death. But if you killed Mr. Faraday first, there was no need for you to kill Mr. Rel as well. I believe I mentioned why we were placing Detective Gumshoe under arrest. Something about having accidentally created an eyewitness. And how that led the killer to think about setting them up as though they'd kill each other. Then the trick with the surveillance tape. Yes. I hadn't actually planned to use a gun. The risk was too high that I'd be caught. However, that's why I remembered the existence of this Vreeland's cape. Vreeland's tape. Which is why I had Rel help me set up the crime scene. And after all was said and done, I rewarded him for his hard work with a bullet. You. You're a defense attorney, aren't you? How could you? How could you betray a client? Client? You want to talk about who was a client of whose first? It was me. I was the client in the murder of the Kodapian embassy staff member. Deed man. You ordered a hitman? Or a hit job? You still haven't figured it out, Mr. Bad? I had Deadman killed because he was about to give away information about the smuggling ring. Now, who exactly do you think would benefit from such an assassination? It can't be. You. You're... That's right. A member of the smuggling ring. How could this... You don't mean... You're working with Manny Kojin too, do you? Maybe, maybe not. Guess you'll never know. The Yatagarasu claimed to be noble, but you're just another cold-blooded murderer. That's right, little girl. The Yatagarasu is just another killer. Be quiet, you. Yatagarasu. You can run from the law, but you'll never escape it. So just humbly accept the judgment of this court. Hey, Edgeworth. Did you know the Yatagarasu has 3 legs? Do you know why that is? No? Well, let me tell you. It means the Yatagarasu has more than a razor-sharp way to do her work. Oh, snap. I point my finger, she points a gun. You really are too naive, Edgeworth. You even handed the Yatagarasu key right to me without a second thought. Everything may not have gone accordingly to plan, but I'll still gladly take it. Ugh. You mean the key was your real target? Ha! And even if I gave you such a great advice, didn't I tell you to always keep a good eye on a criminal? Or you may regret what comes of your negligence? You two, get down. Ah! My body, I can't move. Well, see ya, bad man. Hey, mister, to your right. You. You alright, Francisca? I'm perfectly fine, Miles. Oh, brother. Her voice is shaking. It looks like she's unharmed. Hmm? Where did Kay go? It's a gunshot. Kay's dead. 17-year-old Kay doesn't exist anymore. Sorry, but it looks like she got away. I called the precinct. They should have a perimeter set up soon. Detective Bad, are you alright? Heard a gunshot. I'm okay. Just got another hole in my jacket. He may say he's fine, but looks quite shaken. But more importantly, boy, I mean Mr. Edgeworth, Miss Van Karma, are you two hurt? I'm absolutely fine. I'm also alright, thanks to Kay. Speaking of Kay, where is she? I don't know. She just sort of disappeared. It's time for ransom and kidnapping. I'll go look for her. Oh, and hey, Detective Gumshoe. Yes, sir. Detective Bad, sir. I'm sorry I doubted you. Don't worry, sir. It's not your fault. Well, I lied to you guys too, after all. I heard about what happened from Kay. Lying while giving testimony is still unforgivable. But in this case, you were protecting Kay and her feelings. Looks like you just might have what it takes to be a real detective. Now, don't you ever lose the detective spirit, okay? When's the Gumshoe spin-off? You got it, Pops. Pops? Watched one too many detective dramas recently, have we? Way to single-handedly destroy the cheery atmosphere with one snarky comment. I should get back to the investigation. I swear I'll catch you if it's the last thing I do. Be careful, Detective Bad, and take care. Thanks. Well, I'm off. Maybe we'll run into each other again someday. Thanks a bunch, pal. You're the best. You really did find the truth behind everything. Yes, well, I'm glad we solved everything before you were taken to prison. Sad, Judge. I can't believe how much trouble I caused you with my testimony, Detective Gumshoe. It was no problem, really. Haha. I mean, I lied too, so I didn't help anything. It's not really your fault, Your Honor. Well, even if we didn't have his Honor's testimony, I think the law would have found another way to get you convicted on her behalf. Yeah, I can't believe I was about to get fired during my first week as detective. Well, so long as you're not fired. You should work hard, give all that you have, and perform your duties well. Oh, and one more thing. Kay left a present for you with me. She did? Oh, what is it? What is it that Kay left for me? The proof of their friendship. Here it is.
Take that!
It's a courthouse special Swiss roll. Can I really have it? Yes, it's a present meant for you after all. Thanks a bunch. You have no idea how happy this makes me, pal. I'm gonna eat this right now. Sure, go ahead. Swiss rolls, Detective Gumshoe and Kay bought together. While the one Kay saved never reached her father. It would appear that her sentiments have touched the heart of this detective. He's so happy it's as though he's having a welcome back celebration of his own. Well, I was asked by Kay to give it to him. Whoops. That was good, pal. Or whoop. I can't believe I got to eat 2 of these luscious things in one day. It's like I'm a Swiss roll paradise or something. Kinda thank Kay myself. Hey wait, where is she? You only noticed just now? Was his mind not present when we discussed her earlier? Detective Bad left to go search for her earlier. Maybe you should go join him. Yeah, you betcha, pal. I'm gonna help him. Oh, but first... You know what, pal? Actually, I guess I shouldn't be so rude to you anymore, huh? I'm gonna stick right by your side from now on, Mr. Edwards, sir. And thus begins eternal friendship. I sense nothing but a most troublesome relationship from that ominous statement. We should go home too, Miles. We have to hurry and report what happened to Papa. Agreed. I'm afraid we must be going now, Detective. Roger, sir. And don't you worry, I'll investigate the next case around real well. I'll be counting on you. The scent of trouble is definitely in the air. Thus, like a bad dream, my first outing at court came to a disturbing end. A few months later, I was finally able to properly stand in court as a prosecutor. But the detective in charge of the investigation was, as I dreaded, Detective Gumshoe. After that, he became my direct subordinate. I have tried, but words fail to describe the immeasurable suffering he's caused me. But I suppose that's just how things are. As for the little girl who suddenly disappeared, she's now... And now we're back in the present. Kinda. So, do you remember now? Yes. I remember everything. Okay. It's been a while. Okay, you sure grew up a lot. Of course. Thank goodness. Thought you two had totally forgotten about me. You know, I was really worried about you after all that. Where have you been all this time? Heh. Gummy, I didn't know you cared. After my father died, I went to go live with my mother's relatives. They lived really far away, so I wasn't really able to come back here all that much. Oh, is that what happened? Well, I'm just glad you're alright. Heh. So does it all make sense now? You betcha it does. Oh, you know what? I was going through my father's bookshelf recently and... Actually, there are still a number of things that don't make sense, Kay. Huh? First of all, why did you come all this way to see me? And second, why are you calling yourself the Yatagarasu? Yatagarasu is Callisto Yu, the woman who killed your father. No, you're wrong. The real Yatagarasu was my father. Mr. Faraday was the Yatagarasu? Like I said, I was going through my father's bookshelves recently, and I found a secret diary hidden among his books. I have no regrets in choosing to walk the path of the Yatagarasu. That was written in his diary, and that's how I know for sure. But that's impossible. Why? What's with that look? You don't believe me? It wasn't just an expression on my face. I clearly said it was impossible just now. Alright then, how do you explain this? It's a way of disarming any security system of the user's choosing. Yep. That's the little thief. Truth be told, this is Yatagarasu's greatest secret. This little gizmo was used by my father. Wow, Mr. Faraday wasn't just a great prosecutor. He was really a great thief, huh? Yeah, my father worked really hard to steal the truth. He was killed. The Yatagarasu was no more. But despite that, the Yatagarasu has been spotted again recently. Someone other than you? Here, Mr. Edgeworth. Take a look at this article. The Yatagarasu sent the embassy a calling card. Yes, meaning this person is a fake. I'm almost certain that Callisto Yu lady is behind this. Behind the real Yatagarasu, because the real Yatagarasu would never send something like a gaudy card out. The Yatagarasu did send a white card along with anything to be publicized. That's what Detective Bad told me 7 years ago, if memory serves. Well, as soon as I heard the news, I got all wound up and knew I couldn't just let it go. So I searched you out so that I could obtain the truth behind the Yatagarasu. Because if anyone can help me find it, I figured it was you. Mr. Edgeworth. If you're saying that I have your father's and Miss Yu's, so you're saying I have their identities backwards. Yeah, because the real Yatagarasu is noble to the end. And I want to revive the real noble Yatagarasu. If I don't, my father will never be able to rest in peace. Kay. Kay, you're so honorable. I don't care what anyone else thinks. I'll always be here to cheer you on, pal. Even if you are honorable, a thief is a thief. And you're plotting to commit a crime. If you're plotting to commit a crime, I'm afraid I can't be complicit. Mr. Edgeworth. Oh, you guys are not making it easy for me. Who am I supposed to support now? Mr. Edgeworth. What I want from you is not to steal something. What I want is the arrest of that evil woman. That evil woman? You mean Callisto Yu? I think it's too hard for me to catch her all by myself. But I thought that since you were able to expose her for who she is, then maybe. Please, Mr. Edgeworth, won't you help me? No. Come to think of it, I do believe I owe you. Huh? Owe me for what? When Miss Yu made her escape, it was you who saved my life. Furthermore, you helped me with the investigation today. I'm not so rude as to leave favors unrepaid. Then you mean... Yes. That case has been weighing down my soul ever since that fateful day. Perhaps the time has come to settle things once and for all. If you don't intend to sully your hands in a crime, then I believe I can help you. Mr. Edgeworth, thank you. Yay, Mr. Edgeworth, sir. Isn't that great, Kay? Yeah, it sure is, Gummy. Even though he had completely forgotten about her until just now. Ugh. What's with their chummy relationship? The great thief Yatagarasu. After all that time, the thief's identity... The true identity of the thief sank back into the darkness. Burn Fairway, Callisto Yu, and Kay Faraday. The phantasmagorically changing identity of the great thief Yatagarasu. And the Yatagarasu's real goal. It would all come to light the day after I made that promise to Kay. Nice. But... Okay. The thing I'm confused about is, I guess it says ladder here, but it says confrontation former. So I was kind of expecting... Oh, now it says ladder. Okay. Never mind. I thought there would be another part. But that was it. So, episode 5, Turnabout Ablaze, is up next. And whoever that is, looks like Kay or Kay's relative, with that key in the hair. Well, that's good enough for tonight, I think. Even though it's only been 2 hours. Right? Yeah, I'll save it. Alright. Short stream, but I was busy the whole day, so It is what it is. Maybe tomorrow I'll stream something else. Or maybe I'll start this. Who knows? Anyways, good night.